UFC Oklahoma City, headlined by Dricus du Plessis and Kamaru Usman. A return for both of these fighters after nearly a year layoff for Dricus du Plessis and over a year layoff for Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman making his long-awaited return to the middleweight division, trying to get one last shot at UFC Gold before he retires. Dricus du Plessis obviously trying to get that trilogy matchup with Sean Strickland and put his name in the mix for a title shot as soon as possible. Some decent matchups on this card. Let's get right into my picks and predictions. First up, a bit of a throwaway fight. Ezra Elliott and Damian Anderson. Two debutantes in the UFC, two guys that are fighting at featherweight, but have both fought at bantamweight previously, at least in their last two or three fights. Ezra Elliott actually missed weight this morning at 147.5 pounds, 1.5 pounds over the extra pound limit, and not a great look to make when you're just debuting in the UFC. Um, a guy that's fought some okay opposition for a regional guy. His last fight against an 8-8 bum. Damian Anderson, kind of the same. A lot of 4-1s, 5-1s, some 0-2s, some 0-0s. Kind of the thing you see from regional guys that you would expect to fight a lot longer before they got to the UFC, but I think the UFC is kind of just scrambling to make fights nowadays. It's kind of embarrassing, quite frankly. Either way, I'm not going to give much of a breakdown for this fight. Damian Anderson, Ezra Elliott, both grapplers. Anderson coined the name Demon Hands. He has some nice hands, but he's mainly a grappler. I think this will mainly be a grappling matchup. Somebody's going to find a sub, and I'm just going to go with the slight favorite in Damian Anderson since I don't know much about these fighters. I'm going to say round one sub, probably a rear naked choke. He does go for a few rear naked chokes in his career. He has some heel hooks as well. Ezra Elliott, more of a Darce guy. Um, but yeah, I'm going to go Damian Anderson by round one sub. Next up, Dione Barbosa and Anna Molisano. Dione Barbosa making a return after a majority decision against Melissa Gatto. A UFC veteran, she's 34 years of age, probably not getting anywhere close to a big run in the UFC flyweight division. Doesn't really matter though, she can still dominate some of the unranked bums in the UFC. Anna Melisano, 6-1 prospect, plus 475 dog. I think it's probably closer to plus 400 or plus 350 now, but that's kind of what it opened at. 29 years of age. She has a 3.5 reach advantage on Dione Barbosa, but I think Dione Barbosa will get a nice sludge fest and probably be looking for that sub. I might play it around two sub against a fighter that we haven't seen much of. I mean, this is also her debut. She kind of seems more of a striker. A lot of decisions in her path. Very good for Dione Barbosa if she's not going to get finished. We're going to go Dione Barbosa by round two sub. Next up, Alvin Hines and RJ Harris. Alvin Hines making his return after his UFC 317 short notice debut against Jonata Deniz. He lost a unanimous decision, but it was an alright performance before it was overshadowed by the fact that he got suspended for being on some type of steroid. Now, what I can assume is that he was probably on some type of supplement on his pre-UFC run, and once he got to the UFC, he got caught pretty fast. He's been suspended for quite a while, 34 years of age, 6'2", decent striker. He's fighting RJ Harris, mainly a grappler for a 6'6", 80-inch reach, ginormous heavyweight. Very close on the odd just because we haven't seen anything of RJ Harris making his debut. A lot of debutantes on this card, so not much to really say for or against them. I can't really say much for Alvin Hines either. He's only had one fight of UFC experience. Even though it was against Jonata Deniz, you kind of need to see more to really go, I'm so confident in Alvin Hines. I'm not super confident in him, but I'm still going to pick Alvin Hines, probably by a first round KO. You always see a lot of these tall heavyweights leave their chin in the air. Alvin Hines swings like a madman, and he lands, so I'll give him that. I think he can land on RJ Harris and put him out in the first round. Alden Correa and Stuart Nickel. This is kind of a sacrificial lamb type of stylistic matchup. Stuart Nickel on a 3-fight losing streak after getting a UFC contract. He got subbed by Jesus Aguilar, who just got cut about 2 months ago. He got KO'd by Alessandro Costa in his last fight. And he also lost to Lucas Rocha. Alden Correa obviously did finish Alessandro Costa, a win that ages very well for him as a young prospect. And he had a great performance against Luis Gurule in his last fight. He's the bigger flyweight by 3 inches of height. He has a 1.5 reach advantage in the reach. I'm going to say Alden Correa gets it done in the second round. He's a bit of a slower starter, but Stuart Nickel leaves his head in the air. He gets tagged too often. His wrestling is not that great. His grappling is not that much better. Um, I think Alden Correa is very fast. He has good wrestling. He'll probably take a slow start. He's had slow starts here and there, but he'll have a slow start in that first round. Second round, come out blazing and just finish the pretty broken Stuart Nickel at this point in his career. Next up, we have Felipe Franco and Levi Rodriguez Jr. Both Felipe and Levi are Contender Series alums, but one has a no contest and one has a loss, both to the same person, may I add. Felipe Franco got subbed on his Contender Series performance against Freddy Vidal, and Levi Rodriguez Jr. actually got a KO win in the first round against Freddy Vidal. Now, it is listed as a no contest because Levi Rodriguez did succumb to a drug test, and the fight was subsequently overturned to a no contest. We're kind of seeing a lot of these guys that are coming into the UFC or the Contender Series that have been on some sort of supplement and get caught almost immediately, which you could kind of assume that they've been on these type of supplements throughout their regional career. Felipe Franco did bounce back right after his Contender Series loss. He won 2 fights in a row, both by finish. He then had a close fight with big prospect Mario Pinto. It was a close fight. Some people argued Mario Pinto just had a bad performance. I think it was more so that we underestimated how much Felipe Franco could do in the octagon. He's obviously very underrated, 25 years of age. He is bigger than Levi Rodriguez, 6'1". He has half a reach disadvantage in the reach, but I believe he can take Levi Rodriguez down, get a big ground and pound finish, or find the rear naked choke sub when he gets his back. I'm going to go Felipe Franco by round 2 submission. Next up, one of the more fun fights of the card, Seokhyun Ko and John Paul Labozniani. Obviously, a bit of a fun matchup for John Paul Labozniani, JPL coming off his first UFC dub against Phil Rowe. He had a big head kick, right hook KO on the Contender Series. It was pretty viral. Pretty unique, to be honest, as well. Seokhyun Ko, obviously a 3-fight, I think, veteran of the UFC. He beat, no, 2-fight. He beat Oban Elliott, and last he unanimous decisioned Phil Rowe. Seokhyun Ko has shown the ability to mix it up much more than other fighters in the UFC. He is mainly a submission grappler, but he doesn't really show the urgency to find subs. He kind of is more prone to holding you down, which is something people don't bring up because he fought Phil Rowe and got a unanimous decision, but JPL in his last fight went to a split with Phil Rowe. What people don't really talk about with that fight is the fact that JPL took the fight to Phil Rowe, tried to strike with him on the feet, and took him down with ease, probably better than Seokhyun Ko did, and also tried to find a finish on the ground. I think John Paul Labozniani is way more live for a sub, way more live for a KO. I think he's much faster. He is bigger as well than Seokhyun Ko, and obviously Seokhyun Ko has fought all bigger guys, Oban Elliott and Phil Rowe, but JPL is the only one of those guys that will be able to take the fight to him, and I bet that JPL will be able to defend the takedowns of Seokhyun Ko. So with that being said, I'm going to pick JPL by round 2 submission. I have a bit of a fight comparison, as my friend Weekender likes to say. My fight comparison for this fight is Su Young Yu and Elijah Smith. I think just like Elijah Smith did to Su Young Yu, JPL will knock down Seokhyun Ko. Seokhyun Ko, while stunned, will try to look for a takedown. JPL will find that guillotine and sub Seokyeon Ko immediately, just like Elijah Smith did Soo Young Yu. It's going to be a bad night for the Korean and a great night for John Paul Labosiani. Next up, Jose Delgado and Austin Bashi. Now, a lot of people are on Jose Delgado. Obviously, we've seen a lot of him in terms of finishing ability. He fought Nathaniel Wood to a close decision that many people thought he won. And then most recently, he won a split decision against Andre Fili. Now, a lot of people will look at Jose Delgado's finishing ability and say, hey, guys, what are we talking about? Austin Bashi lost to C-Rod, Christian Rodriguez. And to that, all I have to say is Christian Rodriguez is a very underrated UFC featherweight. He's now at Extreme Couture, just got a much better win against Hyder Emil than Jose Delgado did. And that's what really put him on the map. His big knee to the ground strikes was really what made people say, oh my god, Jose Delgado, he's really, really good. And then he fought Nathaniel Wood and lost. People are really big on rating losses better than they are. Just because you had a close fight with one guy doesn't mean you're going to beat another guy. Austin Bashi has shown that he has very, very elite grappling. His last fight, sub against John Yanis. John Yanis is a good UFC prospect. Not anything great, but he is much better than, say, the likes of Hyder Emil and Connor Matthews. I think Austin Bashi can be a big UFC star, especially at featherweight. Very good wrestling, very good grappling. He is trying to improve on the striking, and I don't think it'll really matter. Jose Delgado got taken down by Andre Fili at will, and that's pretty embarrassing considering Andre Fili is like, what, 37, 38 years old now? Andre Fili at the tail end of his career just got finished by Vinicius Oliveira in the second round after getting dominated. Jose Delgado is not what the people think. It is a close fight on the odds, but people are really like 79% on Delgado. I think that's relatively mistaken. Obviously, Delgado might be live for a finish, but I think it's kind of gone from there, and Austin Bashi will dominate him on the ground. I'm looking for an Austin Bashi sludge fest decision to move his name up the rankings in the unranks and potentially look for a ranked fighter very soon. Featherweight, the lower part of featherweight right now is pretty weak. He could fight like David Onama for a ranking, and I'd pick him to be David Onama. Next up, a bit of a fun one, Tommy McMillan and Alberto Montez. Obviously, a lot of people on Tommy McMillan, minus 170 favorite to plus 140, so the odds are pretty similar. A lot of people picking on Topology, very similar. To say it's very split is kind of an understatement. Tommy McMillan, obviously an okay prospect in the UFC. As much as I personally don't like him for his attitude and kind of just his striking overall, he's probably better than quite a few featherweight prospects in the UFC. 6 foot, he's pretty big, 74-inch reach. Alberto Montez 5'7", 69-inch reach. He's pretty outsized here. 4-year age gap between the two. He's only 32 years old, Alberto Montez. I'm not really huge on Tommy McMillan. I think the guy really wants to have a brawl. He'll just try to throw strikes and see if they land. He has a very good knee up the middle, but I don't know if it'll really land against a guy like Alberto Montez. I like Alberto Montez's striking. He's very good on the ground. He loves that anaconda choke. Obviously, a lot of people have the doubts of if he doesn't get that sub from the anaconda or even Darce, he's going to lose that fight. He could just lose the fight from a striking perspective, quite frankly. But I think Tommy McMillan will try to pressure him on the feet, not get any big shots, shoot a takedown, and get subbed by the anaconda. I think this is just too low level for uh, Alberto Montez not to get a big anaconda sub. I could see him getting TKO'd, but I'm much more big on Montez than I am McMillan. So I'm going to say Alberto Montez by round 2 submission. And I think it's going to be by the anaconda choke. Next up, Tabitha Ricci and Fatima Klein. Fatima Klein, obviously on a big 3-fight win streak. Her only loss in the last few years was against Jasmine Jasudavicius, who went on a big win streak at flyweight. Obviously, that was also a division up for Fatima Klein and a bit short notice, so we kind of give her a bit of a break. 9-1 record overall, 12-4 for Tabitha Ricci. Obviously, Tabitha has fought much better opponents as of late. She fought Yan Xiaonan and lost, and most recently she fought former title challenger Verna Jandiroba. She's very massively undersized, especially for a women's matchup. 5'1", 61-inch reach to a 67-inch reach and a 5'6" height advantage for Fatima Klein. That's 5 inches and 6 inches both ways. She's 5 years her senior, and kind of a bad matchup for her. Her striking's not that great. She has decent grappling, but it's not anything overwhelming. Fatima Klein much bigger, definitely stronger, younger, faster, better striker. I could see Fatima Klein looking for the KO. I don't know if she'll get it. Maybe she can look for the sub. A lot of people are always trying to play that sub. I just don't think Fatima Klein's really inclined to look for one. I think she's always live for a KO. I think it's still going to be a decision. Tabitha Ricci doesn't get finished often. I don't even know if she's been finished in her career. Let me just check. Actually, Tabitha Ricci was finished once, and it was at the very start of her UFC career when she fought at flyweight against Manon Fiorot. Obviously, Manon Fiorot is the #1 contender in that division, so not a very bad loss to have. She's only been finished in that one fight, and she went on a big run right after that. I think Fatima Klein, much younger though, has all the advantages on paper, and I'm just going to go with the -500 favorite Fatima Klein to get a decision win. Next up, Chase Hooper and Mitch Ramirez. Chase Hooper, obviously, he's a bit of a wild card now. Just missed weight this morning, 157.5 pounds, 1.5 pounds over the extra pound limit. He's on a 2-fight KO loss streak. He got KO'd by Lance Gibson in his last outing, and then he got finished by Alexander Hernandez, both in the first round. Chase Hooper really looking to get back to his winning ways. Not off to a great start, missing weight. He has to forfeit 20% of his purse to fight Mitch Ramirez. Mitch Ramirez, obviously, not a great UFC career as of his own right. He's 2-1 in the UFC after getting KO'd by Carlos Prates on the Contender Series. He doesn't have all bad losses, quite frankly. Mike Davis is a decent prospect in the lightweight division. Thiago Moises, like 2.5 years ago, was still kicking it in the lower unranks and nearly got to a ranked position at the time. It's not really bad for Mitch Ramirez, but his only win being that of Aaron Tavares, kind of a random LFA bum, which I just realized doesn't make him 0-2 in the UFC, not 2-1. Chase Hooper, a lot more UFC experience. He's the -400 favorite, which is pretty unplayable if you ask me. Chase Hooper doesn't really have a chin. He has very little striking. Definitely has the grappling advantage, as we've seen. He's grappled guys like Jim Miller, Clay Guida. He has some okay wins on his list, albeit they're all uncles, so I don't really know much to say about this fight. I really want to say Mitch Ramirez just for the dog, but I think it might just be a Chase Hooper grapple fest. So my pick is probably going to be Chase Hooper, but if I put any money on this fight, it'll probably be a Mitch Ramirez round 1 KO. I hope he can get it done, quite frankly, but I don't really think that's going to happen, so I think it's going to be a Chase Hooper sludge fest through 3 rounds. Next up, the co-main event of the evening, Jared Cannonier makes his return against Christian Leroy Duncan. Hasn't fought since that weird fight against MVP last year. Got kind of weirdly knocked down. I don't know if they even scored one for MVP, but he did lose that fight. Before that, in February, he knocked out Gregory Rodriguez, who is the last man to really beat Christian Leroy Duncan. Leroy Duncan obviously went on a 4-fight win streak. He finished Eric Anders. He did finish Marco Tullios. His last win was against Roman Dolidze, which was kind of a weird one. Didn't really know how to feel. I thought a lot of people thought CLD would dominate that fight. Rome Dolidze, kind of the tail end of his own career. He's now moving up to light heavyweight, so he doesn't have to cut as much. But CLD, he's a guy you never know what you're going to get. You either think he's going to be a top finishing guy throwing spinning elbows and kicks that are just going to land flush and get a big KO win, or he's just going to be a very tail end kickboxer, kind of timid, doesn't really want to overextend or throw. I think we're going to see another one of those mid CLD performances. Jared Cannonier has only actually been finished once in his last 10 years, and to be honest, he's only been finished once ever, really. Like the Imavov loss, I don't really count. It shouldn't have been stopped by Jason Herzog, not a good stoppage. Either way, Jared Cannonier has very good survival instinct. He got knocked down by Gregory Rodriguez in that first round, and then he weathered the storm, got to that third round, and put his lights out. A very underrated dog. People talk about Jared Cannonier's age, but I want to point this out. He's been 40 for the last 2 years. He's had some decent fights, some like not great performances. Obviously, he lost to Caio Borralho, but it was a very solid fight, a very dog fight for Jared Cannonier, who nearly got finished at the end, but he still had some good moments in that fight. Borralho is top five at the moment as well. MVP could be top five if he didn't have such boring performances. I'm going to go with Jared Cannonier. I think he can get the decision win in this three-rounder. It is the second three-rounder he's had in quite a while. Obviously, he's now just fighting after just fighting Michael Venom Page. It's funny to see that he's been in so many five-rounders in the last few years. So I think this three-rounder definitely favors Cannonier. He can definitely go at a much better pace than CLD. CLD kind of gasses sometimes, and that's why he's a bit more timid. So I'm going to go Jared Cannonier decision. I think this is going to be a great way to retire for the old man. Finally, we have the former middleweight champion and the former welterweight champion matching up to headline UFC Oklahoma City. Still knocks Dricus du Plessis and the Nigerian nightmare Kamaru Usman. A lot of people on Kamaru Usman, they seem to kind of forget that Usman did lose his only middleweight fight, obviously to Khamzat Chimaev, who did also beat Dricus du Plessis. Khamzat Chimaev also, it was his first fight at middleweight that was properly scheduled to be at middleweight, and he was pretty undersized for that matter too. His next fights after that kind of show he's much bigger in those other performances. Kamaru Usman did get a big win against Joaquin Buckley, but Sean Brady also beat the brakes off Joaquin Buckley and sludged him much better than Kamaru Usman did. I just think Dricus du Plessis is too big for Kamaru Usman. He's faster on the feet. He's younger. This is a guy that's pushing 40. Kamaru Usman, a guy that was on a 3-fight losing streak that nobody want to talk about. The guy that went on a large break. The guy with no knees. Dricus du Plessis, fully healed, got surgery on his nose a few years back. No cardio issues. He's gone 5 rounds. Literally 4 of his last fights. No, 3 of his last fights. He's gone to Khamzat Chimaev, Strickland twice, and Israel Adesanya. He went 4 rounds with. He's been in those long fights, and he's done it the last few times. The only reason, obviously, he didn't get subbed or finished by Khamzat was he didn't want to get up. But I think Khamzat Chimaev's kind of been discovered, and Dricus du Plessis can definitely win that matchup in the future. We'll have to see if he's really improved his takedown defense. Kamaru Usman probably looking to shoot a lot of double legs. I just don't really trust Kamaru Usman's chin, his gas tank, his speed. Overall, what really carried him through his welterweight reign was his athleticism and his advantage in the athleticism over the guys he fought. He fought some quite smaller welterweights. He is a big welterweight. He's a beefy guy. He's 6 foot, much bigger than guys like Covington, Gilbert Burns. Dricus is just going to be fast. He's going to spark him those first 2 rounds. If Kamaru Usman gets out of the first, I think Dricus du Plessis will finish him in the second. He's a wild card for finishes. He loves to push the pace in an very open octagon form as well. This isn't the Apex. Dricus du Plessis will feel very natural in his return. Obviously, this isn't a Khamzat Chimaev type of wrestler. Kamaru Usman only dominated really Buckley with that type of wrestling, and he's not as big as Dricus du Plessis. Kind of yapped a bit, but my point is I'm going with Dricus du Plessis by a round 2 KO. He is my GOAT pick of the week. I think Dricus du Plessis will get him in fast. It'll be kind of a sad ending for Kamaru Usman fans. He'll definitely have to retire. His 4-5-5 plan to get the double champ status and be top 5 all time will be ended by the real African King. Those are all my picks for UFC Oklahoma City. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Can't wait for this card. Can't wait for Dricus du Plessis to get back into title talks. As a big Sean Strickland guy, I really want to see this trilogy, preferably after Sean Strickland fights Imavov. If Kamaru Usman gets the rematch, it'll be quite interesting though. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm Deshaun Goatlin. See y'all in the next one. Peace.